Hi everybody, this is Flo from KMS Reviews. In this episode of the Quick Shots, we are joined by Luna Keller, the singer-songwriter from Cologne. Hi there, Luna.
Hello.
Thank you for being on the show tonight. We'll start with the first question. I read on your homepage that you started your musical career when you were 14 years old, I guess. Can you tell us about your musical journey so far?
Well, I was really fortunate because when I found out that songwriting was the thing that brought the most joy into my life and that was something I really wanted to put time into, I had a home studio at home because my dad also works with music. So I could just immediately start recording, which I feel is such a privilege. Most people
That's
really
an
have to save
advantage.
up and go to the studio and all of that. So I just started. So once I started writing songs, we recorded my first song, Sunset. I was still in the school. I was 15 when we started recording, 14 when I sort of started writing and making this whole thing work. And it was just that start. Always since I was small, I had that musical background because of my parents. My mom sings in the choir, so I started singing in the choir when I was like 8, and that was really good for my vocal abilities later, also to have harmonies. And my dad was playing the guitar and the piano, so when I decided to play the guitar, actually also with 14, I was playing the bass before, but then I fell in
Okay.
love with songwriting, and it's a bit hard to write songs on the bass because you don't have chords. Well, you can play chords, but it's not the same thing. So I switched back to guitar. We started recording. We started releasing music. And when I finished the last year of school, like before accessing university, I was sort of thinking, should I access music university? But I was already having some income, and I thought, nah, I'm going to take a year off and try to make this my full-time gig. And that is what I did, and it's working really well. I still get a little bit of support from my parents, but I do hope it works. At the moment, I am at my parents' place in Tenerife, Spain. I should say that. I'm moving to Cologne this year, so
Okay, I thought you already were in Cologne.
transition.
Yeah. So, which instruments do you play then in total?
Mainly the guitar. I also play a little bit of ukulele and a little bit of balalaika. But yeah, mainly string instruments. I got a mandolin recently, but I'm not really good at it yet, so I shouldn't count it. I play a little bit of piano, but it's not that great. So basically, my songwriting, my music, and my concerts are mostly the guitar and my voice.
Do you plan to upgrade your repertoire with other instruments down the road, or hasn't you decided yet?
I actually have a big interest in buying a hang drum. I don't know if you know it, the
Okay.
instrument, like the hand pan steel drum that you play with your hands.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool. I made my like music history final project about it and its history, and I've played it once. A friend has one. They're pretty expensive, but they're usually used as solo instruments. And I would absolutely love to learn play it and combine it with singing because that hasn't been done that often, and I'm fascinated by that. So I do plan on that, and I also would love to learn how to play the banjo, but
Okay.
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So with 2021 in full speed now, you told me earlier that you are planning to release another track very soon, taking off another album. You also plan to release this year. What are the main plans for this year then?
So last year I started releasing singles for this album, which is going to be called Prophecies and Silver Linings. And we sort of decided every 2 months we want to release a song because nowadays in the music industry, if you release a full album, it's not that good. The songs will pretty much get lost in the noise, especially when
Right.
you're an indie artist. So we want to release most of the singles up front and then have the album come out. So that was last year. We started with I'll Bring You Home, Ray of Light, Let Me Go Now, and Prophecy. I believe you actually had wrote about prophecy
Yeah,
very
that's true.
nicely. Thank
Yeah.
you for that. And
You're
now
welcome.
the next one is coming up 1st of April. It's not a joke. It's my birthday. I'm also not a joke.
Okay.
And we're going to, I don't know if that's actually a thing everywhere in the world, but I know we have April's Fools, and in
I'm not
Germany,
sure.
you're in
I think so, yeah.
Aprilscherz. But yeah, so we wanted to release the next song there. It's called High Low, and I wrote it during my house concert tour last year. And then we're gonna release probably 2 more singles and then the album. So the album will probably be almost around autumn time,
Okay.
hopefully.
Is there a main theme of the album, or are these loose concepts drawn together into an album?
There is. I'm sort of in a transition between, depending on my parents and being a teenager to being an adult. I am an adult now, but I'm now moving away and completely building up my own thing. And many of these songs have been written when I was still like, I'll Bring You Home was written when I was 16, I think. So they are all from that sort of phase. So it's called Prophecies and Silver Linings because it's sort of what I've learned in that transition
Yeah.
and the hopes that I have looking forward. And the name comes from A Ray of Light, which is a song about finding hope in the darkness, which is something I think many of us learn around this age when you sort of stop being a child and you start having your own more intense experiences and you need to sort of deal with them. And then prophecy, which is about that uncertainty of moving away, that uncertainty of starting something new. And I kind of wanted to combine those two concepts and the whole album to tell stories. So you will have my first heartbreak song, my first love song, but also songs looking forward about all those hopes and dreams. And I sort of want to have almost like a little picture of all the emotions and experiences that I've had in this part of my life in that album.
It's almost like a diary then, in some
Sort
ways.
of, but less specific.
Okay. You told me earlier that you did a house concert a house concert tour in Germany and Switzerland. What are your experiences regarding house concerts in comparison with regular gigs?
Well, I have played more house concerts than regular gigs at this point. They are more intimate and more personal because you have less people and people are inviting you into their home, which is always an honor. And each of them is different, but generally speaking, you just feel very welcome and very close to the audience. And when you tell your stories and you play your songs, you can look everyone you're playing for into the eye. And that is something I really value because I am a storyteller. You just mentioned the diary. And I do often tell stories out of my life and share experiences on stage and then play the songs. And that sort of direct connection I feel is more intense in a house concert than when you play for a bigger crowd. So it's sort of my favorite kind of gig. I think no matter what happens with my music career, I will always continue playing them. And the house concert tour last year was a bit crazy because it was first cancelled. It fell into the first lockdown,
Yeah.
which was kind of a bummer. It was like, oh, and I felt a little bit low then. And then I finally got to go out there. I only had 4 gigs that were still in place. Everything else had been cancelled, but I decided I'm going to take a plane. I'm going to go to Germany. I knew I could stay with my family if there was like if nothing worked out. The worst case scenario was I would spend a lot of time with my family.
Fallback.
And those, which is not a bad thing. And out of those 4 concerts, I ended up playing 11 because at every concert there was someone who was like, "Oh, can you play at my house in a couple of weeks?" So I just sort of ended up driving all over Germany and Switzerland, staying with lovely people and making music for them. And I feel so blessed. And I'm really looking forward to being able to do that once the whole lockdown situation gets better.
Yeah, we all hope so. So, final question. The main thing when this COVID mess is over, what you missed the most and what you're looking forward to do when everything has cleared, what would that be?
Well, many of the most simple things I actually am not dealing with because we are not in lockdown here. We have to wear our masks, but everything is open.
Okay.
But when it comes to bigger things, definitely concerts. And not only playing them, but also going to concerts and
Yeah.
seeing concerts. The last big concert I saw was actually in Cologne. It was the Lumineers, and that was November 2019. And
Okay.
I have seen 1 or 2 like small concerts or a classic concert here. Those are still going, but like going to those big concerts of my favorite bands and screaming along and crying because I love them so much, that sort of high is something I adore. And once I live in Cologne and this is over, I will be going to a lot of them, hopefully.
I can relate to that, except the crying part, of course.
Oh, I am quite a crybaby when it comes to music, but I'm not ashamed of that.
Only shows the emotion packed behind it. So I can relate to this part as well, but I don't show it that much.
We all express our love for music differently, and that
Yeah,
is okay.
that's true. All right. So we have reached the time limit. I would like to take the opportunity to thank you very much for being here tonight. Means a lot
Thank
to
you for
me.
having me.
And guys, if you want to know more about this awesome singer-songwriter, you can check out the links in the description of the video or below this blog post where I plan to put them all to check to have you check them out. All right. Thanks
Thank you so
once again,
much.
and be safe, guys. Bye.
Take care.